Oh, it's 5:30.
Commissioner Walsh to the dais. Commissioner Walsh to the dais. Are y'all ready for the pre-meeting? We are rolling on camera. Stephen Trott,
Yes, good evening.
you are up, sir.
Fantastic. Everybody hear me okay? It's first time in the new facility, so if I'm too loud or too quiet or we need to go back and forth, just let me know. So I'm here to talk to you and give you an update on the Verhoff alignment study. So just going back through a little bit, what we talked about has been several months ago. I talked to you before about the Verhoff alignment study and looking at potentially updating that. If you recall, the current alignment for Verhoff was adopted back in 2002, so it's been a little bit of time. Since then, a portion of that alignment's been constructed. I'll show you that on the map. There's also been a good bit of development in the area as well, and more development coming. And then there are also some utility transmission facilities in that area. Duke Energy, Colonial Pipeline, those are in the area of the study. So here's a map. This is the map that was adopted back in 2002 through, at that time, MUMPO, and currently CRTPO. You can see on here there's some lines, there's some coloring, there's a lot of stuff going on this map. So just to kind of highlight things on the map. So inside the pink, that's where the alignment is. That's the alignment on the page. You can see on the left side, Old Statesville Road, north-south, Asbury Chapel Road, north-south on the alignment. Again, just highlighting some things on the alignment that was adopted back in 2002. As part of this study update, we only looked at a portion of that alignment. Let me go back a slide here. The adopted alignment actually goes from just west of 115 all the way to the east to future Prosperity Church Road. But for this alignment study, we're only taking a look at that portion between 115 and Asbury Chapel Road, just that part. The area highlighted in green on the map is the part that's been built. That part of Verhoff was realigned, and then the bridge over 115 and over the railroad, that's been built since 2002. That was built around 2010. So that's been built, and the remaining part has not. One other thing to notice on here, you don't see a lot of things that you would out there today if you were out there. There's no Lake Norman Charter School, there's no Pactiv, there's no Southwire. Those things didn't exist back when this alignment was developed. So what did we do? We looked at a couple of potential alternatives. We looked at utilizing the portion of the alignment, that bridge over 115 that's already been built. And then we also looked at design criteria from NCDOT, Duke Energy, since the alignment would potentially cross that, and also Colonial Pipeline, since the alignment looks to cross that as well. We want to make sure we have an alignment that's actually buildable. So here are the alternatives that have been developed so far. The red dash line on here is the current adopted alignment, and then the orange and the purple, or magenta, however you see it on the screen, are those two potential alternatives. If we're trying to go from point A to point B, if I ask each of you to pull out a marker and start drawing, you may all draw something different. But these are a couple of two potential alignments. So I'm going to, this is kind of hard to see. This is a lot of information on one map, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So this is the western half of that. So all I've done from the previous screen is just clip the image in half so that you can see a little bit better. So you can see on the western side, the alignment connects into that existing bridge over, and then the red goes along east to west, and the orange and the purple are pretty similar, as you can see here on the western side. It does cross the Colonial Pipeline. A couple of things they look for is your crossing is perpendicular to the alignment as you can, and then also around the same elevation. So there's a couple of big criteria that they would look for. Doesn't mean you can't, but that helps cut down on cost if you can do those couple of things. And then on the eastern half, across the Duke transmission line, that's that kind of diagonal from the bottom to maybe the middle of the page that kind of crosses there. There's actually 3 parallel transmission lines that run through that corridor. And a couple of things that Duke looks for is, are you staying around the same elevation, and are you crossing perpendicular? So you see a similar pattern here. So you can kind of see on this image here a little bit better, the existing adopted alignment gets pretty close to some transmission towers. With grading and everything, there would probably be some impacts if the alignment was built in that location. So if you want to cut down on cost and also better align with Duke's criteria, then you'd want to pick a location that didn't do those things or more aligned with what they have. And the orange and purple alignments do that. They shift away from where the towers are and also cross at a more, it's not a perfectly perpendicular angle, but a more perpendicular crossing there. And then tie back into Asbury Chapel to pick up where the rest of the alignment continues. So since the last time I came and talked about it, what's gone on since then? Well, presented to the CRTPO, the TCC, Technical Coordinating Committee, and then also the board to request that a public comment period be open. You can ask for a public comment period of whatever length you'd like. What they recommended was a 30-day public comment period, so that's what was recommended, and that's what they opened. That was from October 16th to November 14th. During that time frame, we hosted an in-person input meeting at Town Hall, and we're there, I think, from around 4 to 7 o'clock for folks to come in. We sent out mailers to anybody near the alignment to just let them know about it, and also let them know they could go online. So we also hosted an online comment submission. You could go online. You can submit as early and as often as you liked. There was no limit on what you could put in. And there was also an open-ended comment box as well, just, again, to give folks the opportunity to give the feedback that they would like to. So what did we hear? Well, we received about 135 different responses from that input. That's online, in person, or email. And here's a little summary of what we saw. So 3 of the responses looked to be duplicates, meaning person with similar name, similar address, very similar or same comments were all submitted. So I think 3 of those looked to be duplicates. 98 of the responses provided a name of some kind. That could have been a letter, could have been a full name, a first name, a last name. Just they put something in that box. Some people provided their address, not everybody. And sometimes multiple people lived at the same address. So it could have been 3 people at the same address all provided a comment, but they all had different names. We don't have a way to verify names and addresses of those that submitted, but this is what we were seeing. Some people just put information in but didn't make a choice. And some just put in their comments but didn't say who they were. So it was a mix of everything. As far as the choice, you can see kind of there at the bottom of the screen. So if we had 135 responses, not very many people picked one of either the existing purple or orange option. The way we asked the question was, which one do you like? And based on this, most everybody preferred something else. And with a choice like this, you say, well, what else would you prefer? Well, everybody's going to be different. So we just said, do you prefer something else or other? Or a good number of the responses, they were blank. There was no response. They left that question blank. So if you look at this, the majority of folks didn't like any of the options, to be honest, with what was there. This is a little map. This kind of shows some of that information a little bit differently. So you can see on there, on the left side of the screen, again, this is kind of the map. This is kind of what people responded and where they were, kind of all on one map. So not a lot of property owners along the alignment. I think there's 19 different property owners along the alignment. See, only a few provided a response that actually owned property along the alignment. And then you can see on the map, there's, again, other was the majority response, just kind of where those folks were. They were all spread out in the different neighborhoods and subdivisions along Asbury Chapel Road. Some other things, some other common themes from the comment section. Again, the comment box was on there. It was open-ended. No character limits or anything like that. It was just put in what you like. So 48 of the comments mentioned the term no road. That seemed to be a common buzzword or common theme. Not sure how that one came up, but that seemed to be a common theme. 38 mentioned the Olmsted. Whether the folks indicated they lived there or not, the term Olmsted seemed to be a common theme. Cut through traffic was another one that was mentioned in Olmsted, which this study didn't bring up that topic, but that was a common comment that was received. Others mentioned the dump trucks on the road. Again, not something that was brought up, but just something that was a common comment received. Dump trucks along Asbury Chapel Road. And then actually four different folks recommended widening Asbury Chapel Road. That wasn't, again, a question, but it was more than what one person recommended. And then we did get some feedback. I sent out an email to the board earlier after meeting virtually with Mecklenburg County. Representative from Mecklenburg County actually drew in a map. This was another option that could be done at the in-person meeting, but they did this and scanned it in and sent it. And again, if you had a marker and could draw in your own alignment, what could you come up with? So that's what they did here and shared this potential alignment there. It's the black line on the screen. And then you can see the comment in the bottom. Although it mentions missing the Duke Towers, but the line actually goes right through the middle of one. So not sure. Maybe that was missed or not. I'm not quite sure. But that was another comment received. So just kind of getting back to the alignment. Wanted to have a discussion to see where you'd like to go from here. Is that nowhere? Is that somewhere? Just kind of want to throw out some different potential ideas to discuss and see what the board would like to do. Another question would like to get your feedback on is it okay to share this information with CRTPO? They asked if once the survey information was done we could just come back to them and just share all of this information. So wanted to see if that was something the board would find agreeable or not as well. So I'll take some questions if there are any.
What benefit would it be to share with CRPTO?
CRTPO just asked if we could just share what feedback we received from the public. That was just one of their asks when the town asked them if they'd open the public comment period. They'd like to just see what the responses were. That was just an ask of theirs.
I don't see a problem with that. Does anybody see a problem with that? No.
And I'll share one other thing. I'll send you all the full comment log that we received so that you can take a look through and read. Some responses are short and some are not. So you can see and read through all those if you like. I'll throw out just a couple of things to think over if you're still thinking over. there's no definitive thing that says you have to pick one of these options. You can decide to do nothing. The existing alignment still exists. The one in the adopted alignment from back in 2002, that exists today. And so if the alignment's not changed, there's no recommendation to change it, then that one just stays as it is. If you'd like to choose one of the options, you can choose that. If you want to develop more options, we can develop more options and then go back through the public comment period and keep on going as long as you like. Those are just a couple potential alternatives.
I'm not sure we need to have more options. What would, since I'm not an engineer and I didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn last night, what would have been your choice, or what would be your choice?
I think there's pros and cons to either of the two potential alternatives. The purple alignment at the very western side or on the left side, that actually goes through more of town-owned property. The property that's just to the north of Southwire, the town of Huntersville already owns that property. So the advantage on the western side is the purple shifts it more into property that the town already owns. A couple parcels over, kind of a square or trapezoid shape, kind of in the middle of the alignment. If you recall, that was a recent rezoning petition. That developer, I believe, favored the orange alignment. So a pro for them would be the orange or the red, I believe, alignment. So I think part of their rezoning said they would dedicate or commit to dedicate or reserve the orange area if the orange alignment was chosen. So there's kind of pros and cons to each. Both alignments, I think, do a better job of crossing the Duke Energy facilities there and avoiding the towers. I think the red would be very, very challenging and potentially have to relocate one of those towers. And I'm not sure if Duke would want you to do that either as part of that, if there's an alternative to avoid it. So I think there's pros and cons to each of the potential alternatives.
Is there a way to tie in where the purple and orange crossover there? Is there a way to tie those in together so you go from purple to orange, which keeps it on our property, but then away from the property in question of the rezoning?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, a kind of tweak and combine.
Yeah.
That's an alternative too. Yeah.
Maybe that solves two problems.
Yeah, maybe so. If in doing so, that really creates a third or an additional alternative, CRTPO may ask to go back through the public involvement process again, which we can go through as many times as you'd like just to get that through. They may ask to go back through if that's the option the board would like to move forward with.
I personally don't love any of these options because it goes through the nature preserve, and I know that this alignment was developed before the land for the nature preserve was purchased, but this site is pretty important for biodiversity, so I'm not really in favor of any of them.
Okay.
Anyone else? You hit us with a lot of information, Stephen.
Sure. And I can also just leave you with what we have and then, come back at a future date and talk about it some more if you'd like.
Well, we
Answer
do have
additional
our-
questions, whatever you'd like to do. There's not a defined, we have to do something by a certain date
Right.
in all of this, so.
We do have our board retreat coming up, so maybe we can all stew on this. And then when we're there, we can maybe dive deeper into it.
Sure, if that's what you'd like to do. Glad to answer
What do y'all
whatever
think?
questions you have.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that'll give us a little time to ponder and maybe come up with a option. We'll draw on it ourselves with a Sharpie and,
Sure.
does that sound good, everybody? Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Heather.
Sorry, I did have one question.
Yeah,
Did
sure.
you say that with the existing alignment now, that Duke Power sees that as being a potential problem in the future?
We don't have their official determination on that.
Okay.
Just looking at they have crossing guidelines that they have. It's, looks at the angle of the crossing. They want it to be within a certain range or at best a perpendicular crossing. Depending on how you measure it, it's right on the line of what that is. And then it's pretty close to a couple of the towers. So you don't look at it as just where the line is, but there has to be a lot of grading to put in a road, and not just where the road is, but everything outside of it. This area is not flat, as most parts of town are not. So with all of that grading impacts could, it's close to the tower, so that'd be another negative of the existing alignment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody
Okay.
else? All right, thank you, sir.
Sure.
I
I'll forward you
appreciate
that
it.
information, and then we can talk about it some more
Yeah.
at a later date.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have 9 minutes. Y'all can grab whatever you need to grab or take a breath for a moment, and then we'll reconvene here at 6.